Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this morning's meeting. We'll first rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our inspirational word for this morning: everything on earth has its own time and its own season. And Commissioner Kalo has our dog this morning.
Don't forget the mic.
Hi there. Our featured dog this week is between 4 and 6 months old. He's a stray that was found in Lorain. He's a mix between retriever and Irish setter, we're guessing. Extremely friendly. Go ahead, scratch your fleas. He did have some flea problems. We took care of that at the kennel. When's he available for adoption, Tim? Tomorrow. Oh, he's available tomorrow. And we have 27 dogs currently. So if he isn't quite the type of dog you're looking for, I'm sure we have something else that'll fit your family's needs. Come on, guy.
Just met Ken Carney's dog that he got from the kennel. What a sweet, sweet baby he got. He got a good one.
What kind of dog?
It's so cute. I'm not really sure. It's like a bigger long-haired Chihuahua, but I'm not sure. They said part Dachshund. Very cute, very sweet. So thank you, Ken, for coming to our kennel and saving a dog from there.
Madam Clerk.
Under Resolutions Number 1, Investments.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Transfers.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
No advances, no repayments, requisitions.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Travel.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Bills.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Under the Commissioners, authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
Administrator Cortez.
Thank you, Commissioner Lundy. I do have a number of personnel issues. Have a completed contract with United Auto Workers of America I wish to discuss with you. Also, we had fact-finding on Monday with the United Steelworkers of America I wish to update you on. Other continuing bargaining that's going on with the steelworkers unions, Teamsters, also potential sale in real estate and pending litigation. All of those topics are allowable under the Sunshine Act for executive session discussion, so I'd ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting we go into executive session and we discuss those items that I've identified. Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the minutes of September 7th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Granting the municipal-owned land annexation petition of 0.6563 acres from Eaton Township to the Village of Grafton. Agent Mayor David
Divencenzo.
Divencenzo.
Yes. Can they?
Which one?
You make a motion in a second.
Okay.
first.
Yeah, just waiting to make the motion. So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
No
And
discussion.
during discussion, we've got some parties here who would like to make some comments.
Hi, I'm Attorney Al Schrader, and I represent Eaton Township Board of Trustees. We just discovered this last night. That's partly my fault. I was in a car accident. My car got broken into later while it was being fixed, so I didn't get to do the type of research I normally would like to be able to do for you in this kind of case. I know that the county engineer has indicated that the legal description is correct, but I want to point out we think it isn't, so let me explain why. First off, Ohio Attorney General Opinion 2016-019 stands for the proposition that even if the engineer's office says it's correct, the final decision is yours as the County Board of Commissioners. And so it's not dispositive that the engineer says it's okay. Here's what's wrong with it in the simplest terms. If you look at Exhibit A, which is the legal description of the land to be annexed, it refers to permanent parcel number, and I'm going to only read the last three numbers, okay? 028, and that's also the one that you have in your resolution 16546 dated August 29 of this year, where you set this hearing and accepted the annexation petition for hearing.
And we did have the public hearing.
Pardon?
I said we did have the public hearing.
We don't have
No.
hearings.
There's no public hearing on
The-
this.
We don't have
Yeah,
to.
municipal annexations, you really don't have a public hearing.
No, I'm sorry, we
The-
accepted.
Yeah, you
I'm sorry.
accepted it.
You're correct.
Essentially what you did was accept it and set the
Right.
meeting for today.
Right, exactly.
And during that 30-day time period then is when we're supposed to determine whether the legal description's right or not. There's precious little a city has to prove for this. Essentially, it's basically that the legal description is right. So in any event, the last three numbers of the permanent parcel on Exhibit A, which is why it's in your resolution 1654, is 028. The problem is the correct permanent parcel number ends in 280. That's the number cited in the Lorain County engineer's letter to you, dated August 30th, or time-stamped August 30th. It's actually dated August 29. In addition, 280 is the permanent parcel number stated in the actual petition, but that's not the number on the, is 280. The inaccurate number 028 is on the legal description. And in addition to that, the City Council resolution, Ordinance 16-021, also refers to the proper number 280. So essentially what you got is City Council's asked you to annex permanent parcel number 280, but the legal description refers to permanent parcel number 028. Now I have no idea what that is. And the point of that, and also the point essentially of this rather long Attorney General's opinion, is the legal description actually has to be correct. And if it's the wrong permanent parcel number, it's not correct. And Jason Monschein, one of the trustees here, has discovered another issue with regard to the map. I don't know if we need to get into that if you...
Right. Basically, thanks for letting us speak. Jason Monschein from Eaton Township, one of the trustees. Yeah, I noticed this. It seemed to make it all the way here without anybody noticing it. I don't know if that's parcel described as across the other side of the county or what. That I did not look into, but in my mind as a township, they did not, their legal description, which is one of the two things they have to meet, the map and the legal description they provided does not give you the correct parcel number. And on the map they provided, which is where your guys' decisions based on the Ohio Revised Code is up to you to approve, where the county engineer's okay is just kind of a resource for you. There is no parcel number on that map either of what parcel we're talking about. On the map that I was provided with the paperwork, it's basically shaded in black, and it has some neighboring parcel numbers, but not the parcel number that the two different parcel numbers throughout this, but definitely not the one in the legal description. So with that, I would ask as a trustee that this is perhaps incorrect and would...
Well, obviously, we want to make sure we dot our I's and cross our T's. At the same time, I think we're at day 27 of the 30 days.
Correct.
Can we at least defer this on the agenda until you have a chance to maybe review this with the engineer? I mean, we could still take action on it today, but I just want to make sure that, I guess, we do our research on the questions that are being raised here. Don't want to annex the wrong property.
Was this the land that was going up to the school?
Correct. So, again, I'd like to remind the board, or at least be on the record of saying that, you know, we have the support of 2 other townships, not just because we're all townships, but because those townships are Midview taxpayers, and that are also concerned, based on information I have in folders back there, that this is not for a walking path, and that this is to get to the Midview School property. One step to go for them, per se.
If I might, we believe the intent of the Village of Grafton was actually to annex the part you mentioned, the land you mentioned towards the school. The problem is they cited the wrong permanent parcel number that doesn't describe that in their legal description. They did get it right, we believe, in their ordinance and in their cover letter to you, but they didn't get it right on Exhibit A, which is the legal description.
You know,
I assume your question was directed towards Jerry, so I'm going to...
Well, I was just directing it to anybody, really.
Oh.
Because I know that this has been a hotly debated issue out there with the path to the school, and you know, the village had indicated certain positions with respect to that, but aren't these parcels, they're able to be used jointly by the township and the city to accomplish the same thing, right?
Well, in my opinion, another reason I'm against it, I believe it's smoke and mirrors. There will be no path back there because it's a development. So this parcel is a wooded area behind homes that will be in the development. My problem, or what I've been saying, is it's a development, so we already have sidewalks, or as they move up into that phase, there will be sidewalks in the public eye, out in the open for people to watch kids go to the school. And also that there is paperwork where the developer will be putting a sidewalk to the next property. Hence, there is no reason for a sidewalk in the woods.
Is that Barrington Estates when
That
it
is correct,
expands
yes.
down 57?
Correct. And-
Yeah, I know their intentions are to go all the way up, and some of Barrington Estates is in Eaton Township, correct?
All of Barrington is in Eaton, and I would make the point that technically in, I believe, 2000, I'm going to say, and sometime before 2013, that this was not Barrington. The reason it's still in the township, which was an agreement through Lorco and the village, was it was not approved by supported by the township or the county commissioners. So in my mind, this land's already been denied once. It's just now been parceled off. This
Yeah,
particular-
they did the sewer agreement with Grafton a while back, and Bob Yost has been developing Barrington Estates going north
Correct.
through that property, so Grafton sewer is the area. Okay, I'm just trying to get a frame of
Sure,
reference
sure.
with the board here. And that's Fiddler's Green is on the other side, Kevin Flanagan's development. Part of it's in Grafton, part of it, the second phase is in Eaton Township back there, too.
Should be. We haven't received notice of him going into that next phase.
Yeah, over by Capitol Road there? Is that?
Durkee Road.
Durkee,
Durkee Road,
yeah,
yes.
Durkee, sorry.
Yeah, so, you know, we'd like to be good neighbors and work together on things like that, but, again, I've not been able to discuss anything with the mayor, who is the agent of this, and in fact, the wrong parcel number at this time is not listed.
If-
It's not on the map provided either.
Jerry, if it's rejected by the board due to an inaccurate description of the parcel, they can just simply refile it, right?
Yeah.
We can just-
Let me, I didn't understand what your question regarding the map was. Are you saying that they have denoted the wrong parcel, or you're just saying it doesn't show parcel number?
I was saying that since the parcel number is wrong on the legal description, the code, the statute just says that the two things that need to be right or determined to be right by the commissioners would be the legal description and the map. I guess as a commissioner, I would reflect to the map if the parcel number is wrong on the legal description, which that enough for me is enough to throw it out, but it's also not on the map, so.
Okay, but you're not saying this improperly shows the wrong area. You're just saying it doesn't have the permanent parcel number.
I couldn't tell you based on the wrong parcels listed in the legal description right now, Jerry, in all due respect. So I believe that is the area, but, you know, I would like to know exactly how many acres and the square footage is being removed from the township.
To be clear, at this point, Jerry, we're not attacking the map. We're attacking the legal description because it contains the wrong permanent parcel number. That is the attack. There's precedent for it. Actually, I was here a month or so ago when they submitted a different legal description that the county engineer's office recognized to be wrong, and they withdrew it, and that's why we're here today. Again, that happened because that was pointed out to them both by the engineer's office and by myself, and they did withdraw it at that time. So it's easy. I guess what I'm saying is the statute requires them to do precious little. They just have to have an accurate legal description. We're saying it's not an accurate legal description because of the wrong permanent parcel number. Jerry, I certainly would yield to Jerry, your attorney on this one. I've done a lot of annexations, and in general, the rule has been if you miss one of these small time deadlines that you don't lose jurisdiction. The only thing that can happen is if somebody wants you to hurry up and make a decision, they got to file an action in the common pleas court asking the court to order you to go ahead and decide. So in this case, I'm not asking you to rush back here in 3 days necessarily, but Jerry is your legal counsel, so I would recommend, and I don't want to discount what I'm saying, but I think Jerry's opinion is what you ought to follow in that regard. And I thought
That's generally what we do, you know.
Right. But I was trying to
Thanks for the free legal advice.
Right. But I was trying to answer your question as best I could, so.
And if I could say one more thing as a trustee, basically because there's so many more entities or people against this than for it, it's just really the village themselves that are for this annexation. Quoting from the Attorney General's opinion here, if the legal description in the perimeter of the map of the plot or territory proposed for annexation is inaccurate, the boundary proposed territory is not or if the boundary is not ascertainable, the petition will be denied. So I know there are revised codes against us as a township in this. Eventually they're going to get it right, but I want it right since this is.
No, you're completely right. Thank you for making that statement.
Yeah,
That whatever they do here is not going, ultimately, they'll refile it with the correct definitions.
Right, and that's all, ultimately,
and the board,
I guess that's all I'm asking.
Yeah, a lot of times we don't get to explain things to the public, Jason, and this is a good opportunity. This is almost a pass-through type item. Their blessing is ceremonial on a lot of this almost, and so the board, some folks in the township may say, oh, the commissioners are for annexation, look what they just did. They really don't have a lot of ability to object to certain things.
On this particular one,
Right.
I would agree with that statement that it is against the township and based on their high revised code, and it is what it is. But in this case, in my opinion, our opinion, it's not correct, the wrong part.
But we are just delaying the inevitable.
That's
Perhaps.
possible, but it has to be a correct legal. For example, what happens if, I don't know what .028 permanent parcel number refers to. It could be somewhere in a different part of the county. I just don't know. And I guess what we're suggesting is if this were a regular annexation, then there's a lot of disagreement with regard to that property. The township thinks it's safer for kids if you're walking along the sidewalks where there's traffic and people can see the kids as opposed to way in the back and so on and so forth. So there's a disagreement there, but we recognize that's not one that the commissioners can adjudicate. The issue is, for you, is the legal description and the map correct or not? And what we're saying is if you don't use the right permanent parcel number, then, and we don't want you inadvertently annexing something over in,
Huntington Township.
yeah, for example. So that's what we're suggesting to you, is that this one ought to be turned down. They're really no worse off than they were 30 days ago, I guess. They just do it right. The old joke is even a broken clock's right twice a day, so eventually they're going to get it right, and we recognize that, but we would ask that since the legal description is not correct because of the inaccurate parcel number, that you turn it down. Thank you very much. Thanks for allowing us to speak.
Jerry, do we have any ability to amend that as a typo or anything, or is it best to reject it and let them refile it?
No, you really don't amend it.
Okay, we can't amend.
Did you have any
And
comments?
Al is,
Not really.
Yeah, Mayor, if
You
you'd like to make
you
any
have to come
comments,
up
if you could
if
come
you
up to the
want to.
podium.
I mean, the only thing I could say is it's been between county engineers and our legal.
Wait
just
till you
grab
get
it.
up there,
Okay,
sir,
get up
we'll
there.
get yelled at from the back. Thank you.
Thanks for letting me speak. It's really been our legal department and the county engineers have been working out the legal. I think the legal's correct. It's now a trailing zero that got dropped off the permanent parcel number, as I understand the discussion.
It's
So
inverted.
Inverted.
It's 280 instead of 028 or,
Here.
Vice
Yeah.
versa.
it's
It's a
280.
it looks like a transpose
yeah,
error.
somebody transposed the numbers.
But unfortunately, the board can't correct
That's
that.
fine. We can, yeah, but, you know, like you said, it's inevitable.
Or do you want to
Let's-
say what they're talking about?
No, I see what they're talking about. So let's
Mayor,
get
could-
it, let's get it right.
We do have 3 people that watch this meeting on TV. Would you explain what Grafton's trying to do with these parcels? It really helps us out when people understand what we're doing here.
And you might want to introduce yourself.
Sure. Mayor, Dave Divencenzo, Village of Grafton. So we've been working with the developer, Bob Yost, and I believe it's his interest, our interest, and the community's interest in the Village of Grafton to build a walking path. That's off 57, which is, there's kids that are walking there now with no sidewalks, and we think we have a safe pathway to the schools back through the development onto Midview. So our intentions are to try to get that built someday. There's one parcel that Bob is still trying to negotiate the purchase of to finish the development. So until that parcel is either obtained through eminent domain or, you know, we could take that action if we wanted, but we're letting Bob take the lead on trying to get that parcel.
Now, those parcels
Together.
couldn't be developed with a safe pathways to schools. I mean, the safe pathways funds out there to be had
Oh,
for
yeah,
that.
and there's an Lorain County Department of Health $50,000 grant that we just got, you know, that comes out every year. That would be excellent. We talked to the MetroParks. They're all excited about it. They want to partner with us on it, so, you
And
know, we got a lot of people
that
for the
couldn't be
project.
done in conjunction with the township at all?
Sure, if they wanted to reach out to us and talk to us about it, we have no problem with involving the township.
I see a relationship here.
You can come over
Turn on
here.
this side.
I would just go on record as saying that the only person that reached out was your administrator, who I don't think fully understood the whole situation when he was given to give us notification. I think now he does, and he is the only one that will usually speak on what's going on as a cover. Ultimately, I think it's kind of common sense not to put kids back there. And what I mentioned earlier, in the contract that you guys provided with Lorco in that wastewater agreement where you were a councilman at the time, you would know that in that contract under 1.2 letter D, that the developer is putting in a sidewalk at the end of the cul-de-sac, which would keep the kids up front out of the area in the woods. So the kids would use the common sidewalks that are already there. They're already connected to you guys at Timber Trail, onto our Timber Trail, and have a sidewalk to the next adjoining property. So I would just like to go on record as saying that this parcel that they are trying to annex is for annexation only to change the boundaries, and that there will already be a sidewalk there when the development's completed. And yes, I would agree with you, though, that there is one parcel to go to get to Midview, but they have wetlands and nature preserves back there, which I don't see a sidewalk ever connecting. That's why I believe it's just to get the boundaries connected. So that's all I would say.
Thank you.
Or nothing further.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Mayor.
So at this point, Counselor, our option is to,
Reject it.
Well, let me start off with, although the law says for annexation procedures, I represent the commissioners and not the trustees. Very clearly, I'm counsel for the Board of Trustees, so it's not too easy to just throw those conflicts out the window. I'm going to give you what I believe is the legal answer and the practical answer, okay? On the legal answers, rather than give you an opinion, I'm going to read you the opinion of the Attorney General's. And the Attorney General, from the very same opinion that Mr. Schrader has read, says that the issue of whether or not the legal description is accurate is a question of fact for the Board of Commissioners to determine. The purpose of the legal description is to determine the exact geographic location and size of the territory. The purpose of the legal description is to determine the exact geographic location and size of the territory. The purpose of the legal description is to determine the exact geographic location and size of the territory. The purpose of the legal description is to determine the exact geographic location and size of the territory. The purpose of the legal description is to determine the exact geographic location and size of the territory. The purpose of the legal description is to determine the exact geographic location and size of the territory. The purpose of the legal description is to determine the exact geographic location and size of the territory. The purpose of the legal description is to determine the exact geographic location and size of the territory. The purpose of the legal description is to determine the exact geographic location and size of the territory. The purpose of the legal description is to determine the exact geographic location and size of the territory. The purpose of the legal description is to determine the exact geographic location and si even though a description may be imperfect, the object of the submission is to allow the commissioners to be able to reasonably ascertain the limits and boundaries of the territory. It also says the spirit and purpose of annexation laws are to encourage annexation to municipalities. So despite my affinity with the township, if you believe you have enough information to accurately identify what's being the description of the property, I think you can go forward. Having said that, as a practical matter, I don't like that we're going to have a transposed number on these documents in the records, and it's going to be there forever, and people coming back and looking at these documents could be confused. So as a practical matter, and if the mayor isn't that terribly upset, I think it would be for the best interest and behoove everybody to get that corrected so that it's, you know, we don't want some title company looking at this 10 years getting mixed up with those numbers. So although I tend to think that legally Mr. Schrader's argument falls a little bit short, practically I think it would be better to get this fixed. It's probably just going to delay the inevitable. So as a practical matter, if the mayor doesn't have a real big problem with redoing it, that's probably the better route to go.
Well, I just, you know, when you look at the legal description isn't accurate, and I don't think we can reasonably ascertain the boundaries. I certainly don't want something in the public record that shows a wrong parcel. I don't know who the owner of the other parcel may be, but I certainly wouldn't want that kind of confusion either. So if legally we're allowed to reject it on those bases at this time, I know I would make that motion.
The motion was already made, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So if
She
you're
has to
gonna
call for a
amend
vote
it-
after discussion. That's what I was gonna say. Mayor, is it a big deal refiling so we have it proper and legal?
No, I'm good with that. Let's do it right.
Thank you. Yeah, we just don't want to put the wrong parcel
Right,
numbers in.
no, that's...
So does it withdraw it
Okay.
and then refile?
So just, I want to make sure everything's worded properly through the counselor here. Does it mean that we make a motion that it be withdrawn and refiled, or we just
Well,
reject?
You've got a motion on the floor. Either you withdraw that motion,
Okay,
or you
well, I
vote
move
it
to withdraw.
down.
I'll withdraw that motion.
I'll withdraw my second.
Okay.
And now the proper wording of the
Well,
motion.
if you're going to make a motion to reject it, it would be on the basis that you do not believe the legal description accurately
And we can't
identifies
reasonably...
the property.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I don't believe that the legal description accurately describes the property, and I don't think we can reasonably ascertain the boundaries at this point. So I would make the motion that we reject it on that basis.
Is that proper motion to reject? Or
Yeah,
is
you
it-
can,
is
you
that
can
the
Or
change?
just-
reject, and then they would actually refile them.
Okay, I'll second.
Any further discussion? Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Nice
Okay.
newsletter,
Thank
though,
you,
Mayor.
gentlemen. Yeah. Thank you.
Is there any potential for conversation before this is refiled?
The correct one.
You're saying,
Because I don't know if it was transposed, it maybe just dropped off.
in the accordance with the mayor said.
Yeah.
I know that, but I mean, before it gets redone, is there any potential for a conversation to,
Based on that comment that it's gonna be refiled, I would say that being the legal property
is the
owners right
same.
now, they could put in a path that's owned by the Village of Grafton in Eaton Township, and that would be the best way to collaborate for these students if, in fact, that's what this property.
Yeah, yeah, anytime comments are made, we really need you at the
Okay,
microphone.
sorry, I did
That's
that,
okay.
Commissioner,
That's
I
okay.
apologize.
No, that's fine.
all right,
I'll
thank
look
you.
it up later.
I'm just, well, maybe.
Yeah, if you'll just come up to the podium.
Oh, still
Jason and I spoke about whether we should ask the mayor to talk in the hall. We had pretty much the same idea you did. And Jason felt he needs to talk to the other trustees first But I've encouraged, and Jason says he will reach out to the mayor so that some of these matters could be discussed. I could see a way of doing this without requiring annexation. I can see a way of resolving this, but I think the elected officials need to speak. And just as one commissioner can't speak for the whole board, Jason can't speak for the whole board of trustees, except for what he was authorized to do here today. So he tells me he'll reach out to the mayor and try to see if there's some way of avoiding, achieving what both want to achieve without annexation, or see if there's some other solution that wouldn't necessarily involve us going at this yet a third time. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's on point.
Okay, thank you.
Board.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, trustee.
Thank you, Deb.
Right.
Under Community Development, award contract to Concrete and More, Inc., Avon Lake, in the amount of $4,950, which includes a contingency for any unforeseen change orders for Marilyn Jones, 227 James Circle, Avon Lake, for storm sanitary lateral separation to be paid from the CDBG account.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Release the $50,000 promissory note for a loan to Prime Industries, Inc., Lorain, on March 25th, 2004. This has been paid in full for the purchase of machinery and equipment used for recycling materials resulting from business manufacturing operations to the revolving loan fund oversight committee.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under Job and Family, authorized purchase service agreement with Goodwill Industries of Lorain County for training, employment, and work experience program for TANF participants for federal fiscal year 17 in the amount of $94,693, effective October 1st, 2016 through September 30th, 2017, and authorized director to execute on behalf of the board. The prosecutor's approval is to form.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes.
Administrator. No.
Well, first of all, I was going to say I may need to abstain from this since
I don't think you need to
serve on the
abstain
board.
because you're on the Goodwill Board. This is a contract negotiated from Job and Family Services. However, I want to say this, since they are good partners, but I would hope that they spend all their money this year and not send it back to us.
It depends on how many people get sent there as to how much of the money they can spend, is my understanding.
But I also understand it's supposed to do recruitment, outreach,
Okay.
and work with the people. Last year, I think it was last year, we were a little surprised, or the year before that, we got quite a bit of money back.
Right.
And then when I checked on it, it was because I had lost employees and they didn't replace them, and
We just hired a new director, so she hit the ground
you
running
guys go
last
through
week.
directors pretty quick over there.
This is going to be my third director.
You're brutal.
I know.
You've already checked with legal, so there's no issue
No,
with needing to
she
abstain.
wants to abstain, absolutely.
Should I?
Oh,
Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
Really?
I would abstain.
Okay. I will abstain.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
I'm abstaining.
Authorize the interagency agreement with Lorain County Transit to provide specialized non-emergency medical transportation services for state fiscal year 17, effective October 1st, 2016 through June 30, 2017, in the amount of $35,999.50, and authorized director to execute on behalf of the board. Prosecutor's approval is to form.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Under sanitary, certify the delinquent sanitary sewer accounts to Lorraine County Auditor for collection on the tax duplicate for the year 2016, collection year 2017.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Mr. Cortez?
I think the delinquent accounts was like $180,000, wasn't it?
187.
It's a lot of money in our sanitary fund. And of course, if it goes on the tax duplicate and they don't pay that, and that becomes challenging. You really use the proper revenue in the department. We just had a whole bunch of people yelling about sanitary rate increases, and there's $180,000 plus sitting out there due for operations. But every year we certify that, and we have to try to collect through the tax duplicate, which is another long and lengthy process. So maybe the folks out there understand why we're having such a struggle in the sanitary department.
The
trying to get
majority of
something-
those were, I think, assessments on sanitary, not so much user, like monthly usage, because all the amounts are about the same. So I think it's mostly assessments, and instead of
was never-
paying,
I don't think
coming and
it's-
paying twice a year, they come in and, or they just put it on their taxes.
The assessments have to be paid. It's the fees. We have certain things by fees, assessments, and then service charges, and I think there's a bunch of people not paying the fees, and then it becomes part of the tax bill. But if it was assessment, it'd already be on the tax bill, and we wouldn't be seeing it. But it just makes, running it's a small department to begin with, and it's a lot of outstanding revenue for the department. But with that, we have a long morning in front of us. I'll yield to council. Thank you.
Mr. Ennis?
I have a matter of pending litigation to discuss in executive session.
Commissioners report.
Well, last Wednesday after our meeting, we headed out to Carlisle Township and did our first demolition out there. So it looked like it was probably a beautiful old house, maybe a schoolhouse, or I'm not sure, but it was a beautiful building with a beautiful property. Unfortunately, I guess they had a fire in it at one point, and the people abandoned the home. So thank you for being out there with us. That evening, I attended Lorain's Big Ideas event at the Palace. It was the first of 2 public meetings, getting the residents involved with their ideas and feedback on what they would like to see for the future of the city of Lorain. Palace is an absolutely beautiful place. If you've never been there, you definitely need to go. Thursday, our Stepping Up team met to talk about ideas and recommendations from the state of Ohio on how to address people with mental illness and addiction issues. We really need a facility other than the jail to defer people. The jail has become the place where people are sent instead of being the last resort. Crisis intervention training is essential in addressing this problem, and our jail is overcrowded, and the safety of our corrections officers and the safety of our inmates are at risk. That evening, I attended a steak fry at St. Peter's for Lorain County Democrat Party. Friday, the City of Lorain Fire Department had a steak fry at St. Pete's. I actually had steak 3 nights in a row. I'm going to turn into a cow, I think, here pretty soon. From there, I went to St. Nicholas for the Greek Festival, where I got a lot of desserts. They had a really nice festival, music, dancing, food, jewelry, all kinds of nice things, great people. Met a lot of nice people there. Then Saturday, I walked in the Puerto Rican parade, and they also had a festival. It was funny, I'm like walking down the street, and there's really not that many people. And I realized when I got to the Puerto Rican home for the festival, and the parade kept coming behind me, everybody was in the parade. That's why nobody was watching. They had like 100 cars, and souped up cars, and I felt like I was in Miami. It was really cool. Sunday, the Veterans Reunion Day at Black River Landing. Probably because of the perfect weather that we had, they had a nice turnout, nice crowd, met a lot of nice people. Yesterday, Ken Carney had a fundraiser at Jackalope, and then I went to the movie that the Asst board put on. It was called Generation Found, and it was about addiction and just different ideas on what to do to help curb the epidemic that we have here in Ohio and other places. So I think that's the end of my report.
Okay.
A lot of stuff going on.
There was a lot of things, and most of almost everything you did, I did. Plus, the Lighthouse had their fundraiser for Lorain.
Missed
But
that.
But Wednesday night was a nice turnout for the city of Lorain, people input. So, also, on Friday, NOACA Governing Board met, long discussions, again, the makeup of the board, governance committee. We did pass a resolution to send it out, giving Cleveland the 2 seats based on the population, but that requires ratification from the 5 counties, and that's always been difficult, so we'll see where that turns out. And then passing of the projects moving forward, long discussion on the Opportunity Corridor, which is a $300 million project in Cleveland. But a lot accomplished that day. Yesterday, Solid Waste Policy Committee met. We had the EPA in. We had folks from Rumpke and Republic and Kimball and Strategic Materials. Long discussion. The Ohio EPA is asking solid waste districts to start doing glass recycling. And the startups would be normally at the bar and restaurants, but again, glass has really no value. You only get $5 a ton for crushed and clean glass, so it's very difficult. There is a company in Cuyahoga County, Pell Manufacturing, actually makes the grinders that go into the bars and restaurants, just put the glass in and grind it up. And it's delivered to a company called Strategic Material in Cleveland, but they don't know how much more they want to do of the recycling of this glass product. So it was a long discussion, I mean, over an hour.
Not much of a margin at all, huh?
No.
Wow.
More of a loss, but DP is willing to give grants. And then we're in great shape budget-wise. City of Lorain talked about passing the CART plan Monday at their council meeting. And it was Mike Greenberg's 60th birthday also.
Wow.
So, our longtime consultant. So. But a lot of things happening, discussions about the organics facility. So we're doing a lot of things going in the right direction. End of my report.
Okay. Busy man. So I wasn't able to attend last week. I was out of town for a couple days. That's why I thought you guys were going to pay all the bills for the remainder of the year and generate all the revenue we needed. But anyhow, I thought everything was going to be like just hunky-dory when I got back. But had the opportunity to have our Lundy Listen session. I want to thank Tony Shanahan for helping to coordinate that every time that we have that. So we continue those. Eric Rothgary, the clerk of courts for the Elyria Muni Court, had a nice event. Also enjoyed attending the Lorain County Labor Fest. It was good to see that event coming back to the county. Always an amazing turnout, and every time the speakers come in, whether they're from a national level or a regional level, they always comment how it's the biggest labor event that really they have the chance to attend and speak at. Another successful picnic for St. Jude and Elyria. I wasn't able to attend that, but boy, it's always just a really great event that Father Kosum and the whole group put on there. Missed the demolition in Carlisle, but just I want to stress to everybody that the land bank serves throughout the whole county, and all you need to do is work with us and work with the land bank, and we'll get things in the queue and get the eyesores down. Also, the Veterans Reunion at Black River. I thought that was a really great turnout for that event. Got a chance to meet a lot of people there. I know we had some informational booth there as well too. The Lorain County Community Alliance had a chance to huddle up on a couple things there, working on some upcoming events in October and December. And encourage you to come out to the Elyria Apple Festival this weekend. Of course, all kinds of great food. And on Saturday, I've been brought out of retirement in the past, way back in my past. I used to host the Elyria Apple Festival Queens Pageant. And Councilman Gary Gibbs is going to be out of town, so I'm being called in from the bullpen to fill in for him this year. And I was getting some coaching from Steve Harvey on how to announce the winners.
Okay,
So
good man.
hopefully I won't mess that up. But
Don't pick on Steve Harvey.
yeah, I know, I love Steve Harvey. But that was a really bad life experience for him on how not to do it at the end of the show. But and Linda Brown always does a great job of organizing that event, and that'll be held Saturday afternoon. So that completes my report.
Board correspondence?
I move to approve the board correspondence and waive the reading.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Public comment?
Okay, anyone wishing to make any comments this morning as part of public comment? Seeing no participants for public comment, I move that we go into executive session, discuss personnel issues outlined by the county administrator, real estate issues as well, and also the legal issues outlined by the assistant prosecutor.
Second.
Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Mr. Kayla?
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page. Then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.
they're doing drugs.
It's easy to start, and it's painful to stop.
Prescription drugs are prescription for a reason. If you take too many of a prescription narcotic, you die.
Chelsea was very well liked by her friends and by her teachers.
Ronnie was going down to Tennessee State to be the next player to come out of Tennessee State.
Joey was extremely popular, just surrounded by friends.
Mark was an athletic, fit-looking kid.
Aaron enjoyed talking and debating with any and all people.
The prescription pain pill problem is a huge epidemic.
This is an epidemic.
This is an epidemic that is infiltrated our young people.
We never had a conversation with Joey about prescription drugs because we truly had no idea that there was any kind of recreational use going on.
How many of you guys know it's not used by anyone?
The first time I started doing painkillers was when I was 17.
I would steal pills from my friend's mom. Her stepmom had script for Vicodin. That was like heaven. I went in her room and stole Vicodin every day.
He would ask to use the bathroom in other people's homes, and he'd go in there and go in their medicine cabinets and steal prescription drugs.
These medications are available everywhere in every socioeconomic environment.
Ronnie was the starting halfback, one of our best players. He got several scholarship offers.
Ronnie was very popular in the neighborhood.
Ronnie was a neat freak, clean freak, always had his hair braided. When he got into the pill use, his mood changed. He changed, like, was that Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde?
Ronnie's appearance really deteriorated, and it was really unlike him.
I said, "Are you doing drugs?" And my son looked at me with these eyes of, "How could you even think of that, Mom?"
I was walking up to football practice. My coach was walking towards me. He just had this crazy look on his face. He goes, "You think they might have found your brother?" And I was like, to me, I was like goofing. I was like, I didn't know he went missing. So I was like making her like goofing off. And he was like, "No, Justin, seriously, they might have found his body." And I was like, "Wait a minute." I was "Whoa, what?" He's like, "Yeah, they discovered a body in an apartment in Telford."
I never thought my son would take prescription drugs without a prescription.
Parents often trip themselves up by asking a simple question, "Are you using drugs?" No. One has to be able to say, "I'm seeing some signs here that concern me."
He was a little bit more argumentative. We thought that was maybe hormones.
The person has what we call pinpoint pupils. Literally, the pupils look like a pinpoint.
She slept odd hours.
We didn't know why he was sleeping so late.
If I wasn't able to get high, then I didn't want to get out of bed because, the physical withdrawals.
We were missing tinfoil from the kitchen, missing spoons.
We'd find the pens that were cut in half.
Straws.
There were a lot of charges coming on the credit cards.
We thought that there was somebody stealing money out of our account.
That's probably a pretty good clue there's something going on. Joey was pretty upset with his roommates. They were spending all their money on medication. Had I known that the medications that they were taking were so dangerous, I would have told them, "You're not even going back to that place."
If you feel something's going on, you gotta investigate.
I thought it was just a phase. We partied when we were in high school, and it's just sort of a phase you go through as you grow, experience life, and you grow out of it. And I thought he was on that track.
Joey had been found and he was unconscious. He had all these medications that he had just received from this doctor. More than likely, he crushed and snorted it. We're just being completely hit blindly by, a situation we had absolutely no understanding of and no notice of. And in the meantime, my husband's in the house. I'm out front in the front of the house just, wondering what we're dealing with here. And so finally, Joe just came out and said, "He's gone."
I was downstairs getting ready for work, and Cookie told me she couldn't get Mark up. Mark was powerful and had the nickname in some circles of Tank. I reminded her that what she had to do was get a cup of water and splash him with it and stay out of his way. And she told me, it was different. We found a clear plastic bag of loose pills. I'm not sure if he even thought he was doing drugs, and I know that sounds crazy, but it's not like it was heroin or cocaine. We followed the ambulance to the hospital. A few minutes later, someone came in and told us that Mark was dead. We never thought that was a possibility.
I had no idea that kids were abusing medicine.
I came home one night, saw the basement light on, and went up to the window, and my son was crushing and snorting the pills.
We would find pills in the shoes, in the jackets that are hanging in the closet, in the pockets.
I found some pills hidden under his cushion.
They were in his socks. I never checked my kid's socks.
He took the light switch plate off and put them in there.
Look everywhere. Is it an invasion? No. You're doing the right thing as a parent.
I would question Chelsea, and she would always assure me that everything is fine and nothing's wrong.
Kids don't want to get in trouble, so they're going to tell you exactly what you want to hear.
There was always something down deep inside that said to me, something's wrong. You doubt yourself because you wonder if you're making a bigger deal out of something.
You know, maybe deep down my parents knew that I was high.
You can't always believe your child. Their lies get bigger when they're trying to hide substance abuse.
I knew her inside and out, and I remember Chelsea as the little girl that she used to be.
I looked at him and I only saw the most beautiful son in the world.
It was very difficult to think that she would be lying to me, which she was. She was out using and abusing prescription drugs.
Long-acting agents like OxyContin are meant to be delivered in the body over a period of hours, if not a day. If they're chewed, crushed, and snorted, you get the entire dose at one blast, and if the body's not ready to accommodate that, you will stop breathing.
We needed to call the police. But what are the neighbors going to think?
Put all of that aside and focus on what's important, as difficult as it may be.
Families can't get too caught up in the idea that, there may be an arrest, charge of my son or daughter, they could be in jail, they could be in the morgue.
The law saved my life. If my mom hadn't called the cops on me, I don't know where I would be right now.
It was the most difficult thing to do, to call the police on your own child. It was horrible. I have gone from putting importance on things like what college are you going to get into to just celebrating the fact that she's alive today. She's doing very well. She's clean and sober. She's productive. She's sweet. And I have her back, and I'm thankful. And it's wonderful.
Aaron had spent the night at a friend's, and they found him blue and non-responsive. They took him to a local hospital.
He was using Vicodin, which we found out through his toxicology, what was in his blood system.
I witnessed him have 2 heart attacks in ICU. He had staph, he had pneumonia, he went through seizures. The doctor was explaining to us that he was going to die. We held his hands on each side, and we started crying, and he just laid there.
People use the medications in an abusive way, not knowing what the full consequences are, and somebody ends up here.
Within 24 hours, Aaron had opened his eyes.
Parents are the first line of defense in terms of prescription drug abuse.
You got to sit your kids down. You just got to tell them about the severity of the problem.
There's a number of steps that you can take.
Educate your child and yourself very early.
Anybody who feels that this can't happen to my child,
It could happen to your kid.
make sure that you don't have excess pills in your home.
Keep your medication locked up because you're never going to notice if something's gone.
What my mom does is she has these take-home pee tests that I got to take. No, I want to keep my mom proud of me, and I don't want to let her down.
You need to have the conversation with them about drug and substance abuse, and you need to include prescription drugs and guide them So they're able to get through their high school years and into college and through their college years drug-free.
Have this conversation before it's too late to have this conversation.